Welcome to the REI Foundation Podcast, where we cover all the steps and strategies to make your real estate dreams a reality. Now your hosts, Jason and Peely.
Hey, Trevor Mcgregor, welcome to the REI Foundation's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come say hello.
Hey, Trevor.
Hello, folks. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So Trevor has been a huge influence in starting with my life and now Peely's life. And
Yes.
We really are grateful to have you on, and we'd love you to tell the listeners a bit more about yourself or a little more feedback for us.
Absolutely. And again, I'm passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about people. So I love sharing the story. Again, my name is Trevor Mcgregor. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I am a peak performance coach and an active real estate investor. And it's always fun when you go to a party and you tell someone you're a peak performance coach and you're a real estate investor. They all swarm to you because they know that you probably know something about something. So it's been an amazing ride. Previous to that, I was in corporate for 25 years, with a huge real estate and hospitality company. We're doing about $45 million a year. And I was the senior executive, had about 500 people reporting to me directly or indirectly. And what I loved about that business was literally understanding what drove human behavior. Why did people think and behave the way they did? What made them successful and what caused others to fail? And it was really in that corporate journey and then starting to buy real estate myself and then studying personal growth that I started to tie it all together. And I ended up leaving the corporate world and pursuing, consulting and coaching full-time while being an active real estate investor full-time. And so while I continue to build my own property portfolio, I now help other people go from where they are to where they want to be.
Wow. So that's exactly what you're doing for us.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of your coaching and your real estate, which was the catalyst for the other?
Well, what do you mean? What specifically are you looking for?
Why did you get started in real estate? And then did it tie in with your coaching?
Absolutely. Again, when I was in corporate, I really wanted to achieve a phenomenal level of success. And I invested in an expansion arm of the company that didn't end up going too well, lost a little bit of money. And I wanted to quickly remake some of that money. And it was when I hired my own coach and we started brainstorming about ways to, improve your income and maybe make some extra cash, where he said, Trevor, have you ever thought of buying real estate? And, that piqued my interest. Ended up buying one little townhouse, and that was a good experience. So I took the money out of that and the equity out of that, and I bought a condo. Then I took the equity out of both of those and bought a duplex. And that's when it really got exciting because I discovered cash flow. Yeah. And from on there, I started to buy more duplexes, got into fourplexes, and just kind of, built a fairly sizable portfolio of, small multifamily houses and never looked back.
Wow. So you said you had hired a coach, and then it sounds like your real estate investing just kind of exploded from there. What do you think the importance of having a coach had to do with that?
Well, I think any time where you're looking to go to the next level, and if you understand a lot of what my mentor, Tony Robbins, says, he says success leaves clues. And so instead of me having to reinvent how to go to that next level, I found a coach who was almost like a teacher, a mentor, a trainer to me that gave me simple steps to take that shortened the learning curve to help me go from where I was to where I wanted to be. And as I continued to do this in my own life, family and friends started to take notice, and it was my son's soccer coach that said to me, Trevor, how are you doing all of this? You're working, you're buying property, you seem to be enjoying it. Will you sit with my wife and I and show us what you're doing? So I sat down with them, laid everything on the table, and that allowed them to get the confidence to go out and buy their first property, which was an amazing experience. And they said, gee, if we could do one, let's do another. And then they bought their second, and then they bought their third. And I'm going, holy smokes, this is pretty cool. And that's really when I decided to get out of corporate and get into coaching real estate full time.
Wow. Well, to give the listeners an instance, I just you've been with Trevor for almost a year now?
A little over a year.
And I started about 2 months ago. And in those 2 months, I've gotten 3 houses under contract just by jumping in and being coached by Trevor and having that.
And that's on the buy side. And we also have one under contract on the sell side.
Yeah.
Yep.
And having his guidance has been immeasurable. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And congratulations to you and Jason, because I just, I'm like a guy that throws you the pitch. You're the one that swings the bat and does all the work and all the heavy lifting. So I can facilitate it, but ultimately, it's really the action that you take that's going to, support you in reaching your real estate goals. And you two are doing a phenomenal job. I'm super proud of you.
In terms of people, when you first meet with them, what's usually a big trigger for people, whether it be confidence level or maybe monetary or something holding them back from getting started in real estate? Because you hear people talk about it all the time, but there's always some emphasis of, oh, it sounds amazing, but I can't do it.
Can't I do it?
That's so common. I hear it all the time. And really, after doing over 10,000 coaching calls with real estate investors all over the U.S., I've literally come up with what I call the 5 key reasons that hold people back from, growing their real estate portfolio. And perhaps I'd share them with your listeners. Would you be open to that?
Yes, we would. Thank you.
You bet. So the number one thing, guys, that holds people back from taking action is what we call limiting beliefs. It's that doubt. It's that fear. It's that anxiety. What if it doesn't work out? What if I lose money? What if there's a market correction? And so they literally are paralyzed from literally understanding that real estate is one of the greatest wealth vehicles on the planet, but you need to park those limiting beliefs and get in the game to win. Does that make sense?
It sure does. Yeah.
You bet. So that's number one. Number 2 is what I call lack of a strategic plan, which basically means if you don't have a blueprint or a recipe or a roadmap that's going to show you where you are and where you want to go and how to get there, it's going to be a lot tougher. And that's why a coach can help facilitate getting rid of those limiting beliefs and then starting to lay out that recipe, that blueprint, that roadmap so that it's simple to follow. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, it does. I can probably list a few limiting beliefs that you've kind of powered through.
And we've all got them. So that takes us to number 3, which is you can get rid of the limiting beliefs and you can have a plan of action. But if you're not out there with what we call taking consistent and persistent action every day, you're not going to move the needle. So that's where a coach can come in and make sure that you're doing the right things in the right order at the right times in order to do, the things that will allow you to have success in real estate. Does that make sense?
It does, for sure.
You bet. Number 4 is really simple as well. And that is, having that accountability. When you've got a coach or a teacher or a mentor or a trainer that's watching you and holding your feet to the fire, you're going to do what you say you're going to do because you're going to have to answer to it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like athletics. I think one of the key factors when I was first thinking about getting into coaching and prior to meeting you or getting into having a coach on the team was that I grew up playing sports, and for all these years I had a coach, and now I've been out in the real world with really no accountability partner, no guidance, and I may have the inhibition or the action set, but just kind of flailing around going in so many different directions and not having anybody to really keep me on track.
Absolutely. And it's really a great thing that you share, Jason, because a coach can see things that you can't see while you're playing the game. Yep. We can point out your strengths, your weaknesses, areas to improve, how to better negotiate, how to blow through any obstacles that come up. I mean, it's really quite powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You bet. And then that takes us to number 5, the final one, which is a lack of leverage. I mean, if you don't have a big, fat, compelling reason why you want it, the law of diminishing intent kicks in and you find yourself sitting on the couch, watching reality TV. So it's really, you've got to have a purpose. You've got to have passion. You've got to have a why. And we always say when the why is big enough, the how just shows up. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I mean, for me, and I'm sure this is with Jason, our big why is our family and our children. Mm-hmm. I'm basically a stay-at-home mom with my hands in this huge real estate endeavor that we're trying to take. And I could have used that as a limiting belief, but I haven't. because my why is sitting in front of me day after day saying, this is why you do this, mommy. Keep on doing it.
Absolutely. And I applaud both of you for that. Because again, I've got 3 children as well, and you've got your kids. And it's fascinating because I will see investors all over, North America. Actually, I have investors in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, even Asia. And it's funny because they'll do more for their family or do more for other people than they'd ever do for themselves. So you're right on. When you look at those kids, or you look at your significant other, or you look at the impact outside of your family, that is, you're creating jobs for people. You're going to be hiring property managers and painters and roofers and house lifters and all of these people that are literally going to have a ripple effect from what you go out there and do. It's powerful, man. When you can tap into that, that's where a lot of that juice, that energy, and that drive comes from.
Talking about power, so what's your big why?
Oh, that's a great question. My why is really, and I said this to myself when I was starting out in real estate. I said, if I could ever repay my coach for what he taught me to other people, I would do that. Because to be honest, I love real estate, and real estate's been a good ride. I've been doing it for almost 18 years as an active investor. And I often say that real estate feeds my pocketbook, but coaching feeds my soul. I love taking people and showing them what's possible and literally obliterating those 5 things. Get rid of the limiting beliefs, create the plan of action, make sure they're in consistent and persistent action, have that leverage and have that accountability built in, because that's what allowed me to continue to stack my success. And again, I've never looked back.
That's powerful. Giving back. How can you add value to other people's lives? That's powerful.
So I wanted to jump topics a little bit. Is that you were talking a lot about, we'll say, taking action and leveraging, and just with real estate being that you could be all over the map. And for us, one of our big points is that we're taking on a lot of different basic topics and projects at this time. So one of the big parts is bringing in team members. What is your advice or feedback on either trying to improve your weaknesses or just hiring someone to take on your weaknesses and just focusing on your strengths?
Yeah, great question. I love that question. And it really is about that. You want to identify, what are you good at? I mean, for some people, they're good with numbers, so they like to analyze deals. Other people, they're good with people, so they like to go out there and network and negotiate deals. So I always ask, my clients, what are you good at and what do you love doing? On the flip side of that, we can also identify things we all don't like doing. If you don't like negotiation, or you don't find the thrill in the art and science of negotiation, you're probably not going to excel at it. So that's where you can bring in what I call professional pillars, or other people that can support you, not with just your weaknesses, but also to show you how you can improve those areas, so that maybe one day you start to, build up that desire to negotiate or to network or to ask for money or anything that's involved. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you're a buy and hold person, you're a rehabber, you're, in self-storage, you're multifamily, you're assisted living. There's things in all of these vehicles called real estate for you to really honor what you're good at and what you're obviously going to need others to come in and support you with.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great. We agree. We've tried many different hats, and we find where our shortcomings are. So it's been very important that we've tried to start filling those pieces rather rapidly, and we're getting better at it. We still have our points of contention, and you're working on us with it, but it's definitely coming together.
Absolutely.
So I first met you at Joe Ferris's Best Ever Conference. In Colorado a few months ago. And at the conference, you did this amazing affirmation session at the end of the conference. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and why affirmations and incantations might help in everyone's day-to-day life?
Absolutely. It was a pleasure meeting you at Joe's event. And really, when Joe asked me to come and present at the Best Ever Conference, I see it as a huge opportunity to share what allows most people to be successful. And what most people think that allows them to be successful is having a strategy. That is, how do I do it? When in fact, that's only part of the equation, because you can have the best strategies in the world, but if you don't have the psychology that supports the strategy, you're probably not going to get to your end result. I'll give you a simple example. Right now in the United States, roughly 70% of the American population is obese. And that's a sad statement because there's tons of strategies available. I mean, if you type diet into Google, you're going to get 1 billion hits. Or if you drive in any major city in the US, there's a gym on every 12th corner. So the strategies are there, but what's missing is the psychology. And the psychology is really the beliefs in your state and in your story that you're worthy of it and that you can go after it and that you can go through anything, regardless of what strategy you're using, you need the mindset. So when you ask, what is an affirmation or what is an incantation? These are what I like to call to and refer as belief installers that really help you appreciate and get those neural networks firing in the brain with what's possible instead of what's not possible. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I connect with like the state and story, definitely.
And it's 100% part of my morning now. And
yes.
It definitely helps, gets me on track and keeps me focused.
Absolutely. And to give the listeners an idea of, what is the difference between an incantation and an affirmation? I'll give you this little blip of it here. An incantation is an I am statement. So you might say something like, I am great at finding deals. I am great at accessing capital. I am great at, finding professional pillars that support me in my pursuit of real estate excellence. Whatever you want to achieve, you've got to start priming those neural networks because as Napoleon Hill wrote in Think and Grow Rich, what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And so an I am statement can be something like, again, I am grateful for the opportunity to buy real estate. I'm grateful to live in one of the best countries in the world. Whatever you need to do to continually stack up good on top of good. Does that make sense?
Makes
Yes,
sense. I'll start right now. I am good at finding deals. I'm great at finding deals.
There you go. Whereas, and I love that. And you guys are to be, congratulated for understanding that psychology is a huge part of this. So let's go over to the incantation side. And incantation is actually one that's done with even more rhyme, more rhythm, more passion, more emotion. Something like every day in every way I'm finding better deals. Or every day in every way I'm accessing more capital. Or every day in every way I'm finding more cash flow. And you can mix and match any words that you want in there, but the goal is to really feel the power in the words, really extract the emotion. I mean, when you say you're great at finding deals, Pili, what's the emotional charge that you get when you say it?
Power, drive, just a burst of energy.
And does it feel good?
It feels really good.
And you want more of that feeling.
It's a bummer, so it's
it's like crackling energy right here.
Yeah.
It is. And you're both phenomenal at it. And again, I get that energy from you over the phone and over our Skype calls, but I also got that from you when we met in person and when we interacted, because everything is energy. Just like, these words are energy, this podcast is energy, there's energy in everything. And when you learn to tap into that energy by, as little as 2 millimeters, you can create a shift in your day that absolutely explodes your results. So like Jason saying he's doing this every morning, man, can you imagine what life is going to be like when he does that 7 days in a row, 14 days in a row, 21 days in a row, a month, a quarter, a half a year? I mean, it's exponential. And we all know what the compound effect is. And essentially, that's what you and Jason are doing.
Well, just that little shift every morning. I mean, I can feel the difference, like when he doesn't do it or when I don't do it, like I can feel the difference in my day. It's not as bright. It's not as, productive. Just having that affirmation and incantation in the mornings, it takes your life to that next level. Even if it's just, like you said, by 2 millimeters.
Yep. You can be grateful. You can read a quote. I mean, you put some beautiful quotes on Facebook that I see regularly. You're to be congratulated for that. Because again, it's powerful. And the more you do, those little things you do, it's the little things that add up to the big things. And I'm telling you, it's been a extremely powerful part of my life the lives of a lot of my clients. And, it will continue to do that for anybody who practices it regularly. So if you can get into the routine or the habit or the ritual of doing it, that's where it really pays off.
And it's the habits that really pay off, whether you're transferring negative habits or positive habits. It's building of slow habits.
You betcha. And a lot of people, and that's a great point, Jason, they get into some negative affirmations or some negative incantations. Yeah. Like, why are all the good deals gone? Or why is it so hard to find cash to invest? Or, why can't my window installer or my painter or my roofer do what they're supposed to do?
Yep.
So again, you got to stand guard at the door of your mind and not let that negative energy, take you out of the game.
Stand guard at the door of your mind.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a great point. But awesome. Yeah, it is. It's one of the biggest things is I think the investing is almost, and every part of your life is almost secondary. But you can only battle with yourself each day.
Yeah.
For sure. And
nothing happens in a straight line. If you're going to be a real estate investor, you've got to be a little bit flexible. And really, you've got to think about how can I versus how can't I? Because if you're committed, there's always a way. You might have to go over it or under it or around it or through it, but persistence is the key. And it's troubling to see so many people wanting to get into real estate, but they think that it's too hard or the tenants are going to be tough to manage, or what if the toilet backs up in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
I used to worry about that stuff too, but those are all small potatoes, because once you're interested and then you're committed and then you're in action, that stuff's easy to take care of.
I agree.
Thank you so much. You. Wow.
That was just awesome.
Yeah.
I can feel it. It's like coming off our calls. I can feel the motivation. I'm ready to get off this call and go start doing stuff.
Awesome.
Anyways.
So before we leave you, where can people find you?
Well, thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I love what you are doing. And if people want to reach out for whatever reason, if they feel like they're stuck and they need to get through some limiting beliefs, or if they want to lay a foundation or a roadmap to start their real estate investing career, or maybe they're already got a few houses under their belt, but they don't know how to scale, anybody and everyone is welcome to reach out to me at www.coachwithtrevor.com. Again, www.coachwithtrevor.com. You'll be able to fill out your details, and we'll be able to set you up with an absolutely free, no obligation 30-minute coaching session where we're going to laser in on who you are, what you're looking to do, what might be preventing you from doing it, and how to blow through it. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing.
I'm going to repeat that for everyone. He just said, contact him at www.coachwithtrevor.com.
Correct.
30 minutes free.
Yeah.
Get in contact with Trevor. Please do yourself a favor. He has been immeasurable wealth for our family. I can't, there's almost no words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you're most welcome. And again, given how busy you folks are and all that you do, I mean, a high tide lifts all boats. And I think that this podcast is a wonderful platform to keep it real, and show people that husband and wives and families and busy lives, I mean, it's possible. And like I said, a high tide lifts all boats. So congratulations to both of you, and keep up the great work.
I think it's Peely's way of getting me to sit still for a half hour.
Could be.
But that's at least, yeah. No,
So, okay, one more thing before we leave you. Can you give us one affirmation? Just one.
Absolutely. An affirmation that I truly believe has really allowed me to, move through all of the challenges and all of the opportunities is really, I am passionate about real estate. I am passionate about people. I am passionate about impact. And I am passionate about the opportunity to expand, because that's the number one law of the universe. And if anything is expanding, it's growing, it's becoming more, it's giving something to someone else. And ultimately, when I do these incantations or affirmations, that's what I'm reminded of. And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor. I love that. I am passionate.
Perfect way to stop. There we are.
This is Jason and Peely being very passionate with Trevor Mcgregor.
Thank you very much for being on with us. We've enjoyed every minute, and we know our listeners will as well.
Thank you.
My joy, my pleasure. Have a good one, folks.
You too.
If you're looking for another awesome real estate podcast to check out, be sure to check out the world's longest running daily real estate podcast, The Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever with Joe Fairless. Joe is a savvy investor and a great teacher and has a ton of awesome guests on there daily to provide you with every aspect of real estate investing advice ever. Again, it's The Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever with Joe Fairless.
Thanks for tuning into the REI Foundation podcast. Check back next time for more awesome tips and strategies to launch your new you in real estate.